12 hours before a storm front arrives, the largemouth in a freshwater lake start feeding heavier than they will at any other point in the next month. The cloud cover has not arrived yet. The wind has not picked up. The temperature has barely shifted. But the fish already know what is coming, and they are gorging while the rest of the lake looks normal on the surface. This video explains exactly what they detect, why they respond so aggressively, and the precise window when this feeding frenzy peaks. The science is published, the mechanism is documented, and the application is something every angler with a smartphone can use starting tomorrow. This is real science. The variable is barometric pressure, the weight of the atmosphere pressing down on the surface of the water. Standard atmospheric pressure at sea level is 29.92 inches of mercury. When a storm system approaches, that number drops. The drop happens before the visible weather arrives, and the freshwater predators in the lake feel that drop in real time. The detection mechanism is the swim bladder. Every freshwater predator has one. It is a gas-filled organ inside the body cavity that controls buoyancy. When external pressure changes, the gas inside the swim bladder expands or compresses in direct proportion. The fish does not have to think about it. The change is mechanical, immediate, and unavoidable. The biology gets specific from there. Freshwater fish have swim bladders that average around 7% of their total body volume. That is a substantial internal organ. When atmospheric pressure drops by even 0.03 of an inch of mercury, the gas inside that bladder begins to expand. The fish becomes slightly more buoyant. That sensation is the trigger. Research published in zoological journals has documented that freshwater predators detect pressure shifts as small as 0.02 inches of mercury. That is below the threshold that most weather instruments report. The fish detects it before the angler's smartphone weather app updates. 12 to 24 hours before any visible weather change, the behavior in the lake has already shifted. Here is where the science separates one species from another. Fish are divided into two groups based on swim bladder anatomy. Physoclistus fish have a closed swim bladder. Largemouth, smallmouth, walleye, and perch all fall into this category. They cannot release gas from the bladder quickly. When pressure changes, they have to ride out the buoyancy shift mechanically. The other group is Physostomus fish, trout, salmon, pike, and catfish. Their swim bladder has an open duct connecting to the digestive tract. When pressure changes, they can release excess gas immediately by burping. They equalize instantly. That is why trout streams remain productive even during wild pressure swings, while largemouth lakes go silent on the same day. The implication is significant. Largemouth feeding behavior is far more sensitive to pressure changes than the behavior of trout or catfish in the same region. The same storm front that triggers a feeding frenzy in a smallmouth lake produces minimal change in a brook trout stream a few miles away. This is biology, not luck. The window of maximum feeding activity has a name in fisheries research: the pre-frontal window. It is defined as the period when atmospheric pressure is dropping at a rate greater than 0.05 of an inch of mercury per hour. That rate corresponds with the approach of a low-pressure system between 6 and 12 hours before the visible weather arrives. During this window, the freshwater predator population in the lake undergoes a measurable shift in behavior. Fish that were holding deep on structure move to mid-column. Fish that were lethargic become active. Strike aggression increases. Feeding range expands. The lake transforms from calm to alive in the span of a few hours, even though the weather still looks unremarkable on the surface. The reason is energetic. The fish senses the incoming pressure drop and interprets the signal as an environmental disruption ahead. The biological response is to feed heavily and store energy before conditions deteriorate. This response is hardwired across multiple species and has been documented in fisheries research dating back to the 1960s. The fish are not predicting the weather. They are responding to the same physical signal that produces the weather: Before the next part of this video reveals the post-frontal lockjaw window and the exact lure adjustments that work in each pressure phase, point your camera at the QR code on the screen. The angler's vault just opened with a complete barometric pressure module covering the full pressure to feeding window protocol used by tournament anglers. The vault includes the full barometric pressure module, the reading water module that explains how pressure interacts with water temperature, and the annual fishing calendar that shows pressure trend windows by season. Link is pinned at the top of the description. One-time payment, no subscription. Now back to the science. The opposite of the prefrontal window is the post-frontal phase. After the storm passes, atmospheric pressure rises rapidly. For physoclistus fish, like largemouth, that rising pressure compresses the swim bladder. The fish becomes negatively buoyant. To maintain position in the water column, the fish would have to swim continuously, burning calories it just spent storing energy. The biological response is to sink to the bottom or bury deep into vegetation and stay still, conserving energy. This is the behavior tournament anglers call lockjaw. The fish are not refusing to eat because they are full from the prefrontal feeding. They are refusing to chase because chasing burns more energy than the food provides under those conditions. The post-frontal window typically lasts 12 to 48 hours after the storm clears. The sky is bright, the wind is calm, the water is clear. Visually, the conditions look perfect for fishing, but the fish are biologically committed to staying still. This is why the best-looking fishing days often produce the worst results, and why the gray, cloudy days that no one wants to fish in produce the best. Here are the numbers that translate the biology into action. The prefrontal window opens when pressure begins falling from a stable reading above 30.0 inches of mercury. The feeding frenzy peaks when pressure drops between 29.60 and 29.9 inches of mercury. Stable pressure between 2,970 and 30.40 produces consistent moderate feeding. Above 30.5 is the post-frontal lockjaw zone. Below 29.60 is unstable storm conditions, where the fish may be hiding rather than feeding. The sweet spot for active feeding is the falling phase between 30.0 and 29.7. That is the window every angler with a barometer or a smartphone weather app can identify in advance. Most modern weather apps display barometric pressure trends as a small graph or arrow icon. A downward arrow indicates falling pressure. A horizontal line indicates stable pressure. An upward arrow indicates rising pressure. The downward arrow is the signal. When the smartphone shows pressure dropping 6 to 12 hours before a forecasted storm, the lake is entering the feeding window. The presentation adjustments matter as much as the timing. During high-pressure post-frontal periods, fish hold deep and tight to cover. They are not chasing. The lure has to come to them, slowly, at the depth they are holding. Field research conducted by Field and Stream documented that downsizing lures during high pressure increased strike rates by approximately 30% compared to standard-sized offerings. Finesse presentations work in high pressure, drop-shot rigs with small, soft plastics, light Texas rigs with subtle creature baits, slow, shaky head presentations. The cadence is patient. The retrieve is minimal. The fish has to find the lure in its existing strike zone. Aggressive presentations covering water are wasted effort under these conditions. During the prefrontal feeding window, the strategy reverses. Fish are actively roaming, looking for prey, and willing to chase. Larger profile lures produce more strikes than finesse presentations. Topwater walking baits, large crankbaits, full-size swim jigs, and aggressive soft plastic creature baits all outperform their finesse counterparts during the falling pressure window. The cadence shifts as well. Faster retrieves, more aggressive jerks, more noise from rattle baits, and lipless crankbaits. The fish are in attack mode, and they respond to high commotion presentations, The same lure that produced one strike in 12 hours during high pressure can produce a fish every 3 casts during the falling phase. The reason most tackle marketing ignores barometric pressure is straightforward. Atmospheric pressure cannot be packaged, branded, or sold. There is no product to recommend. There is no KU. There is no margin. The most powerful predictor of feeding activity in any freshwater system is something every angler already has access to for free through a smartphone weather app. The variable that controls feeding aggression more than water temperature, more than time of day, more than lure color, is the variable that gets the least coverage in fishing media. Tournament professionals plan their practice rounds around pressure forecasts. The casual angler shows up on a sunny post-frontal day and wonders why the fish are not biting. The information gap is not a gap in the science, it is a gap in the distribution. The science gap closes when the angler starts checking pressure trends before fishing trips and adjusts presentations to match the pressure phase. The fish have been responding to barometric shifts for hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary history. The technology to track those shifts has been on every smartphone for over a decade. The connection between the two is the part most anglers have never been shown: the complete pressure to presentation map. Falling pressure between 30.0 and 29.7 inches of mercury, aggressive lures, faster cadence, cover water, rising pressure above 30.2, FNES presentations, slow cadence, target deep cover, stable pressure in the normal range, standard presentations work. Match the lure to the conditions, not to the recent purchase from the tackle store. Tournament anglers who track pressure consistently produce results in conditions that look unfishable to others. The bluebird sky day after a cold front. The high overcast pre-storm afternoon. The same lake produces a 50-fish day for one angler and 0 fish for another, within a few hours of each other. The difference is reading the pressure phase correctly. The complete barometric pressure module inside the angler's vault breaks down the full pressure to presentation protocol, the species-specific response curves for largemouth, smallmouth, walleye, and pike, and the exact lure category adjustments for each pressure phase. Link is pinned at the top of the description. Hit the like button if this changed how you think about checking the weather before fishing. Drop a comment with the worst bluebird day you ever had on the water. The next video in this series builds from those comments. The fish have been reading barometric pressure for 400 million years. The smartphone in your pocket can read it too. The two together produce results that pure luck never will.